Hello again, everyone. Edwin Leonard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about transit Jupiter making a square opposition or inconjunct aspect to one's natal sun. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve Jupiter, it could be about expanding horizons, going outside the box, basically. Enthusiasm, exuberance, optimism, hope, um, being jocular, happy, truth. And the thing is, when you have transit Jupiter, basically making an adverse aspect to the natal sun. Now, I'm going to elaborate on it. When I say basically adverse aspect to the natal sun, well, of course, squares and oppositions in astrology are adverse and negative aspects. The inconjunct can be seen as neutral, but an inconjunct often requires an adjustment, a transition, and that can give some tension, some exasperation. So collectively, this is basically um, an adverse aspect. So when you have transit Jupiter, basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal sun, it may manifest in the expansion of horizons, exuberance, enthusiasm, optimism, hope, um, jocularity, the truth. Might conflict with your life. Is your life, really what you want at this time? Maybe are you, Gemini's involved? Maybe, the sun's in Gemini. Are you living vicariously, through somebody? The sun, of course, could be about life. Jupiter is about the truth and veracity. It can be something where, the sun is also connected with the biological father. So there may be some, philosophical differences with this person at this time, or maybe you're being overly hopeful in some kind of matters or activities that are connected with this person at this time. It can be maybe you just don't have the exuberance or enthusiasm to be doing things with this person at this point in time. And the sun is also connected with our energy and vitality. And when you have this, this transit of Jupiter, I mean, I could see this as being, some distortion of some energy levels. You might feel like, we have a real abundance of energy one moment and then a letdown the next, and all of a sudden it's like severely hampered or depleted as far as the energy goes. Um, Another thing too is that the sun in astrology can be where we want to shine, where we want to stand out and get the attention at this time. Now, it could be over optimism in this part of our life at this time. If you're, say you have your natal sun in the zodiac sign Cancer, for instance, maybe it's something in some, home-related matter or some Cancerian like field or profession, something like home remodeling, renovation, roofing, or maybe even in real estate. As another example, it could be where, maybe you don't feel enthusiastic. I mean, the sun could be about domination as well. So it might be a time where you don't feel quite as enthused about being that dominant person in your home. Maybe you feel like, someone else needs to stand out and be that person at this time, whether it's an energy level situation or what have you. The sun is also connected with our focus and attention, what we're concentrating on. And the thing about this is it can be something where Jupiter, again, is about, our enthusiasm or exuberance, but it's also about expanding horizons. Those things may be a little bit more difficult to concentrate on at this time. If you're trying to, go outside the box and you're trying to expand upon what you're doing in your life, it might be a little bit more difficult for whatever reason than usual. If there's some career-related matters or whatever it might be, it might be a little bit harder to do so at this time, and it might be maybe a little bit easier when the transit ends. The thing is, the sun is also connected with our drive and motivation, so it might be a time where it might be a little harder to be motivated and driven in Jupiterian things, whether it could be publishing or advertising, going outside the box, basically religion, things that are connected with philosophy, or even sports in the outdoors can be some examples. Now, The sun can play a role in our physical body to some degree. The ascendant, yes, is what dominates the physical body, but the sun can play a role as well. Like in 11 out of 12 cases, you're going to have different ascendant, of course, as opposed to your sun sign, but the sun can still play a role in as far as physically, and you might not really be up or enthusiastic or exuberant about doing things of a physical nature at this time. It could be, or you might simply be over optimistic in what you can physically do at this time. Say if your natal sun is in Taurus, it might be something involving some kind of endurance or running, long distance running. Maybe it's working out vigorously. It could be some work where you pace yourself at. It's something where you got to be careful during this transit that you don't overestimate what you can do physically. It's always, it's important, of course, to be confident and have self-assuredness regarding what you can do physically, but it might be where you might overestimate at this time. So that's what you have to be careful at. Another thing, too, is that anatomically speaking, the sun is connected with the heart, the upper back, and spine as far as specific body parts. Now, this could be, in some cases, you don't want to overdo it. Jupiter can be reckless energy, and you don't want to, again, I'm talking, this can go back to overestimating what you can do. And I think, like, when you have this transit, you don't want to take on too much, whether it's responsibilities, whether it's something sports related, that might cause issues with the heart at this time. The upper back and those issues too, upper back and spine, can be a little bit more at risk during this time, since this is basically an adverse aspect. In any way, inconjuncts, though seen as neutral, not only, as I stated before, that they can require an adjustment or transition, which can cause some tension, exasperation, but inconjuncts can be about health-related matters as well, and it might even be something, could be even something Jupiter related may be involved, like something like the hip or sciatic nerve as an example. And the thing is, it's just important not to overexert yourself at this time. This can be sometimes. This transit also, keep in mind. The sun is also associated with the spirit, and I would say even figuratively speaking, as far as the spirit goes, your spirit in doing things. Do you have the heart? Do you have the spirit to do things? And you might have some fluctuation during this time of being having that excessive heart, that spirit to do things at this time, or it could just go the other way and you're just completely might feel downtrodden and just don't have it in you. Your spirit might feel like it might be depleted as well, and you might have some vacillation, distortion of that kind of energy at this time. And the sun is also connected with the basic character. It is our true self, in contrast to the ascendant. Again, in most cases you will have a different ascendant in contrast to your sun sign, but in some isolated cases, 1 in 12 on average, like roughly 1 in 12, you're going to have the same ascendant as sun sign, but in most cases you will have a different one. As far as your basic character goes, it could be where maybe you're seeing too much of the good in it, or it could be where you're at a little bit even more, you're either over optimistic or being overly positive or overemphasizing the positive, or it might even go the other way and having difficulty seeing whether it's the truth. Well, it might be difficulty seeing the truth in your even positive qualities of your basic character associated with your sun sign, but it could be maybe you're not seeing enough of them at this time. And anyway, now another way, this could be another way this transit can manifest. It could be difficult to have your enthusiasm and exuberance for life in general at this time. Say, for example, if your natal sun is in Aquarius, it could be a life of altruism, selflessness, one in which you show consideration for others. It could even be a one where innovation is involved, or that astrology or astronomy may figure prominently. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, and the thing about it is, it could also be, this transit may also be expressed in being over optimistic in matters that you may focus on at this time. Now, say if the natal sun is in Scorpio as an example, it could be, various things. It could be, focusing on investigation or even forensics or trying to solve some mystery, recycling, locksmithing, things that involve transformation, such as rebuilding an engine, as some examples. Um, at this time as well, there may even be philosophical differences with the biological father, or could be a child, or somebody that is a dominant male in your life. For example, if the transit Jupiter is in Taurus, it could be disputes, perhaps philosophical issues over values, things of a monetary nature, self-worth and self-esteem, as some examples, matters that are connected with persistence, perhaps. Another thing too, it might also even be harder, going back to what I was saying previously, reiterating that if Jupiter, it may be harder to see the truth, which is Jupiter, in the basic character again, which is connected with the sun. Say, for example, if the natal sun is in Pisces, it could be maybe an overly passive, or maybe impressionable or gullible nature, or somebody that might be somewhat weak-willed. And say if at this time as well, there might be a greater propensity for Jupiterian physical issues that may adversely affect your vitality. The sun, of course, can be connected with our energy and vitality. Jupiter does have correspondence, of course, with certain body parts, and those issues may be connected with the sciatic nerves, the liver, the pancreas, the thigh, the hip, even obesity in some cases. Now, and it might be a little bit harder to express, sun could be about our self-expression. And it might be harder to express Jupiterian qualities, being jocular, jovial, optimistic at this time, more so than usual. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Leonard saying stay well.